Today, we're getting into maybe one of the biggest questions in business right now. Can real growth, the kind that actually pushes things forward, happen without crushing a competitor? Does someone always have to lose? We're diving deep into something called the growth pledge. It's this really interesting idea built on the belief that ethical AI systems and maybe a different kind of cooperative competition could rewrite the rules. So our mission today is to unpack the work of Momen Ghazouani. He looked at how these hyper-connected economies, especially with AI driving things, sort of demand a new way of thinking for entrepreneurs. The focus here is huge, really. It's about rethinking what success even means. How can innovation stay ethical? And maybe the trickiest part, how can fierce rivals actually help each other stay resilient without, giving up their edge?
Yeah, and what's so fascinating is that core shift Ghazouani talks about. It's like he's saying growth isn't just about fighting harder anymore, it's about competing smarter. We're kind of moving beyond that old zero-sum game because, well, the market itself is just different now. We really need to look at how markets change when companies start to get that shared health in the ecosystem is actually way more sustainable than just going it alone.
Okay, let's unpack that philosophy then. Competitive cooperation. Ghazouani saw this incredibly fine line between rivalry, like aggressive rivalry, and responsibility. We're always taught, aren't we, that you want your rivals to fail. So what changed? What, economic or tech shifts made helping a competitor seem like a good idea or even necessary?
Well, it really comes straight out of looking at how massive interconnected tech systems actually work day to day. You look at today's data systems, especially the ones using machine learning, AI, you see pretty quickly that isolation isn't just inefficient, it's a huge liability. The reason this is maybe possible now when it wasn't, say, 50 years ago, it's AI.
Hold on, I want to drill down there. Because we hear AI slapped onto everything. How does AI, technically, specifically, make this kind of cooperation possible between rivals who wouldn't normally trust each other?
It gets around the trust issue. That's the core of it. Before, cooperation often meant showing your hand, right? Revealing sensitive info. But now, companies can use AI-driven tools like secure data enclaves. These let them share generalized, non-secret risk data think cybersecurity threats, or maybe warnings about logistics failures anonymously, without showing the algorithms or the secret sauce that makes them competitive. So AI acts like a secure middleman. It spots risks that affect everyone, lets competitors coordinate defense, but they don't have to share their attack plan, so to speak.
Okay. That makes sense. So it's like a trustless system for sharing resilience. And Ghazouani's critique of how things are now gets really sharp then, doesn't it? He's saying too many promising startups fail, not just because they messed up, but because the system actually rewards their rivals for just letting them die, or even pushing them over the edge to grab market share.
Exactly. So the question driving this became, okay, what if markets started valuing resilience, like ecosystem resilience and cooperation, just as much as they value individual innovation or speed? Real progress, Ghazouani argues, happens when businesses stop seeing each other only as obstacles to flatten, but maybe see them as, well, critical parts needed for the market to be stable at all. If your competitor suddenly collapses, yeah, you might get their customers for a bit, but you also might lose a key supplier down the line or damage overall trust in the whole sector. It's fragile.
Right. The philosophy sounds good, almost utopian maybe. But making it work, that's the hard part. How does Ghazouani turn these big ideas into something concrete? Let's get specific. What is the growth pledge, in practical terms? What does a company actually have to do if they sign on?
Okay, so it's formalized as a global campaign. It encourages companies to actually commit publicly to building a culture of shared growth, ethical cooperation. The big goal is building more sustainable, more balanced economic systems, moving away from just exclusion or total dominance as the only ways to measure success. It's really about making those rare moments, like when rivals coordinate during a hurricane or agree on basic safety standards, making that the norm, not the exception, formalizing it.
Okay, here's where the rubber meets the road. Because this is where, a traditional investor, someone trained in pure kill or be killed competition, might start to get nervous. If I'm a CEO, my first job is protecting my company's advantage, right? And my duty to shareholders. How does the pledge avoid forcing companies to spill their secrets? That seems like the biggest hurdle.
That's absolutely the central challenge. And Ghazouani tackles it head on by keeping the scope really, really narrow. The pledge isn't about sharing your product roadmap or your pricing strategy. No way. It's very specific. Share resources or expertise only in areas that manage systemic risk. Risks that, if they happen, would hurt everyone, no matter who's winning the market share battle that week. And that AI-driven data sharing is crucial here. It makes sure the information shared is minimal, it's anonymized, it doesn't leak competitive secrets.
Okay, give us the specifics then. The sources mentioned 3 key areas for cooperation. Can we walk through some real-world examples for each?
Sure. The first one, maybe the most obvious today, is cybersecurity. Now, this doesn't mean sharing your company's source code or how your internal network is set up. Of course not. It means instantly sharing generalized threat intelligence, like signatures of a new attack method, indicators of a zero-day exploit, patterns someone's seeing. If one company gets hit, they share the pattern anonymously, so everyone else in the ecosystem can raise their defenses. It protects shared customer data, helps everyone stay compliant. It's mutual defense.
Okay, that makes sense. Pure risk mitigation. What about the second area? Operational resilience. That sounds like it could get tricky because supply chains are often where companies get their edge.
Right, so operational resilience focuses on infrastructure weak spots, logistics bottlenecks, things everyone might rely on. So let's say company A relies on a critical supplier, and that supplier's factory gets wiped out by a flood. Competitive cooperation here might mean a rival, company B, agrees to temporarily use its cloud with a different supplier they both use to help company A get some bridge capacity. Or maybe sharing pre-vetted backup plans for cloud services if there's a major outage risk in a certain region. It's about reinforcing those shared weak points to stop the whole market supply chain from collapsing.
Okay, and the last one, emergency financing. This sounds like the toughest sell. If I'm the stronger company, why on earth would I give my competitor cash during a crisis that might sink them? Isn't that just helping the competition? Bad for my shareholders.
This is where that strategic foresight idea really comes in. Emergency financing under the pledge isn't a blank check for bad management. It's defined very clearly. Temporary bridge capital provided only against systemic shocks. Think sudden, huge regulatory changes, pandemics, natural disasters. Not just because the competitor ran out of money. The thinking is, the uncontrolled, messy failure of a big player can destabilize shared credit markets. It can cause suppliers everyone uses to go under. It erodes customer trust in the whole sector. So providing a short-term, usually secured loan to prevent that kind of contagion, it's framed as an investment in keeping the market healthy, which ultimately benefits all the players left standing.
Okay, but this raises a huge question, the one every sharp listener is probably thinking right now. Why is this strategy, and not just, a nice moral idea? You mentioned fiduciary duty. Couldn't helping a rival, especially with money, get challenged by shareholders? Or even run into antitrust issues?
Yeah, that's the hurdle Ghazouani absolutely has to clear. And the argument goes like this. First, traditional antitrust laws. They're about stopping collusion that hurts customers' price fixing, dividing up markets. The growth pledge deliberately stays clear of that. It's about shared defense and resilience, not rigging prices or output. Second, fiduciary duty. This is where the argument pivots to risk management. In today's world, the cost of a major rival failing isn't contained anymore. If company A implodes, it might trigger way more regulatory heat for the entire sector. It creates chaos in the shared talent pool. It damages the industry's reputation. So, from a long-term strategic view, keeping your market stable and predictable is arguably part of your fiduciary duty. Supporting rivals in these very specific, limited ways stops being charity and becomes purely self-interested risk management, strategic risk mitigation.
That frames it perfectly. It's like
Right.
maintaining the health of the playground you want to keep playing in, maybe even dominate later.
Exactly. That's why the principle is compelling, because it's actually pretty simple at its core. Sustainable growth doesn't have to mean destroying others. The pledge is trying to normalize this mindset where actually having strong, stable competitors can be a good thing. They become partners in keeping the market stable enough for everyone to innovate long term.
There's a great line in the source material summarizing this. Competition defines the game, but collaboration changes its outcome. What does that really mean for you, the listener, trying to maybe apply this kind of thinking in your own field?
That line really nails it, I think. Competition. It sets the rules, the pace, the boundaries. It fuels ambition, forces you to innovate your product. That doesn't go away. But collaboration, in these specific areas, changes where all that competitive energy ends up. When rivals cooperate on, say, cybersecurity threats or supply chain stability, they basically expand the realm of possibility for both of them. They make the whole environment safer to operate in. Collaboration doesn't kill the competitive drive. Not at all. It just reshapes it. It channels it into a force that can achieve things like market stability, shared security, robust infrastructure that neither company could guarantee on its own. It kind of ensures the competition happens where it should, on innovation, on customer value, not just on who's toughest in surviving the next external shock.
It really does sound like a sign of, well, business maturity, doesn't it? Where success isn't just measured by dominance, by knocking everyone else out, but maybe by the ability to lead in a way that lets the whole ecosystem thrive alongside you. It elevates the game so the best ideas win, not just the biggest bully.
Absolutely. Though we have to be honest, right? There's a strong counter-argument. This whole idea is probably not going to land well with people who see markets purely as battlegrounds. Short-term, winner takes all. That view is still very powerful. But for those who've seen how fragile success can be, especially in these super-connected AI-influenced markets, the Growth Pledge offers maybe a path that's more grounded in how modern business actually works, the interconnected reality of it all.
Which brings us to our wrap-up. The core takeaway, after diving into Momen Ghazouani's work on the Growth Pledge, seems to be this. This isn't about ending competition. It's recognizing that sustainable, ethical growth needs a kind of shared resilience, one that protects the whole playground. It's maybe about surviving together today, so you can compete smarter and innovate faster tomorrow.
And maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. In a world that's constantly changing, with risks becoming more systemic, more widespread, the companies that truly last, the ones that endure, they'll likely be the ones that master this really subtle dance, knowing exactly when to fiercely guard their own competitive edge and exactly when to reach out a hand to stabilize the shared environment that makes any kind of growth possible in the first place.